Hey guys, how you doing? Hopefully you're doing okay. Going to give you a very thorough overview of this very dark case. There's a link in the description. I need to give you a trigger warning. This involves the murder of two children, a 3-year-old boy and an 11-month-old boy, both brothers. It appears that the mother is likely the guilty party. Of course, we don't know that for sure at this point, but by all accounts, that's what it looks like to me, at the very least. I'm not going to read through the article in a linear fashion. I'm going to give you an overview as best I can. So we'll start that. So first off is the little boy. This is one of the boys that were killed. This is 3-year-old Deshawn with his mother. His mother is Dimone Fleming, 22 years of age, from the Bronx in New York City. And on Saturday evening, both Deshawn and his 11-month-old brother Octavius lost their lives. It is believed, it's not confirmed, a medical examiner's report has not yet been completed at this point in time, but based on witness accounts, it seems that both boys were stabbed to death. They were then placed in a bathtub which was filled with water, or perhaps filled with water after they were placed in the bathtub. We don't know. The bathtub was then covered by a sheet. The boy's father discovered them both. The mother seems to be the guilty party. So I'm going to backtrack a little bit and tell you that on Friday evening, the mother and the father were having an argument. And because of an argument, the father decided to create some space between himself and the mother by sleeping in the car. So he didn't stay in the family apartment on the Friday evening. He slept in the car. In my opinion, his intentions were good. You know, that's one tactic to de-escalate arguments and such that you might have with a spouse, with a partner, is to separate yourselves. Give yourselves some space. And that's what the father, whose name is Columbus, Canada, did on Friday evening with the right intentions. Now, come the Saturday evening, the mother was causing a racket at the apartment. She was behaving very erratically, such that her neighbors called the police to make a complaint. The police came at around 7:50 p.m. Saturday evening due to the complaints of erratic behavior. They found the mother naked in the kitchen. She was lighting objects on fire. She was displaying very odd behavior. The police stayed at the apartment for around half an hour, at which point they left, taking the mother to get a mental health evaluation due to her odd behavior. So that's what happened Saturday evening. And then the father came home about 10 minutes after the police had left, taking the mother to get a mental health evaluation. 10 minutes after that, the father returned home. The apartment was empty, if I understand correctly. The father looks around the apartment and he makes a tragic discovery in the bathroom, in the bathtub. Underneath a sheet, underneath the water, he finds his two boys. Deshawn, 3 years of age, Octavius, 11 months old, in the bathtub, covered in blood. He does what he can. He takes them out of the bathtub. He has a friend, a neighbor, with him. They both try CPR. There's a comment within the article from, I guess, the friend, who says something along the lines of that he attempted to perform CPR on the boys, but he knew they were both dead already. But he tried in any case. That witness also states that they were both covered in blood. Both boys were taken to hospital, but tragically they both succumbed to their injuries. At this point in time, we don't know the cause of death. They were found bloodied and in a bathtub covered in water. So this article isn't telling us any specifics in regards to the stabbings. There's no mention of a knife. We're not told of stab wounds or given any details in regards to that. But I mean, the headline tells us that the mother stabbed her two sons to death and then hid them in the bathtub. So this article isn't giving us every last detail about what happened. And the medical examiner's report hasn't been released, so at some point it will be made public for the reasons for the death. I'm sure the actual injury sustained will be made public. But seemingly, the mother is guilty of having stabbed both of her two children, Deshawn, 3 years of age, and 11-month-old Octavius, to death, and then hid them in the bathtub. For their father, their distraught father, to find them both. As I say, I think I mentioned that it's, in my estimation as a layman, it's my estimation that this woman has severe mental health issues. Perhaps this was a so-called one-off acute psychotic episode, a one-off event type of thing, a breakdown, or perhaps there's more ongoing issues. Family have come forward saying that she's called the children devils, demons. Recently, she's made social media posts repenting, calling for forgiveness, begging for mercy. Prior to the police arriving, she was seen outside of her apartment screaming, "What did I do? What did I do?" It seems to me that if it was a psychotic episode, it wasn't a particularly short one. It seems to have lasted, at least a day, in my estimation. That's pretty much all the information that we have at this point in time. Again, the article is telling us that at this point, no charges have been laid against the mother. No charges have been laid against her at this point in time. However, she is considered a person of interest. I'm quite sure, I'm going to just try to double check, but I'm quite sure the article tells us that she is in custody. Again, she was taken for a mental health evaluation. So I'm not sure if she's in custody in a prison or within a mental health institution. Yeah, I've just double checked. The mother, Dimone Fleming, has not been declared an official suspect. She remains in custody as a person of interest in the case. No charges have been filed. So I don't quite know what the reasoning would be there. I'm sure there are good reasons for it. It's probably, bureaucracy. If they probably want to get the charges correct before laying the charges. I'm sure they have every confidence that she is the guilty party. But, having said that, they've got to do a proper investigation. So if it takes a little while for charges to be laid, that's fine. That's fine. We want these guys, we want the investigators to get things right, not get things done in a hurry. So as I say, that's really all the information that we have at this point in time. An absolute tragedy. Full condolences to the extended family, notably the father, Columbus, Canada. I mean, what's going on through his mind? He must be absolutely wrought with horror, with guilt perhaps. I personally would not blame him for sleeping in the car, for giving him that separation from the mother. I mean, in hindsight, perhaps that was a mistake. In hindsight, perhaps it was a dreadful mistake to leave the two boys with that mother. But hindsight is 2020, isn't it? You know, and most of us have partners. Most of us live with others, and things aren't always a bed of roses. It's not always smooth sailing. We don't live in Disney World, you know. It's not a Disney cartoon that we live in. Life's difficult. We have arguments. We have ups and downs. Things can get fractured between partners, but, you know, you manage as best you can. It seems to me that Columbus, Canada made a wise choice. You know, unfortunately, it wasn't. Unfortunately, it perhaps wasn't the right choice, but it was based on wisdom to give himself some separation, not just himself, but just in an attempt to de-escalate the arguments between him and the mother of their two children. He stepped away. He gave them some space. I don't know. That to me, that seems like a good strategy, but unfortunately, it just didn't work in this case. Unfortunately, the mother's mental health issues were too strong. But I have full condolences to Columbus, Canada. And the rest of the family. I'm going to wrap things up at this point, guys. Take care.